Right.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So greetings. I'm delighted to be with you. I'm Dr. Annie Norman, the State Librarian of Delaware, and I am author of Chapter 12. And with me today is Eva. Eva, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eva Dziedzic-Elliott, and I am currently an education librarian at the College of New Jersey, but my previous experience is being a K-12 librarian, and my chapter talks about the initiatives that we have done here in New Jersey in school library world.
Yeah, so and Eva is author of Chapter 18, in case you're looking it up. And thank you very much to Sandy Hirsch for all these opportunities that she has brought to us. And also, Eva and I are neighbors, so to speak, since I'm in Delaware and she's in New Jersey. So it's really fun to compare notes in the mid-Atlantic. Yes, so in Delaware, and I'll start first and then Eva. So in Delaware, all school libraries are invited to join the statewide Delaware Library Catalog. This has been a long-term initiative to create the catalog, and school libraries are invited to join. This project is about establishing a platform to elevate the library profession. It's not just about resource sharing, but it's about creating a powerful platform for all librarians, including the school libraries, for greater impact, power, and funding. The earlier adopter school librarians are joining, those who say, we need to try everything. We have not reached a critical mass yet. There's only about 6% of the school libraries who have joined so far. Chapter 12 in Library 2035 is about the power of the system. I've learned, though, that not everyone is convinced by my words. Imagine that. By the same token, educators aren't convinced by words or the many reports on the value of school libraries. We've learned talk is cheap. We need to demonstrate the value of libraries to show people seeing is believing. Next slide, please. This was true when the shared Delaware Library Catalog was first forming back in 2006. Once the state could see the system, the state now funds it 100%. Then the colonial school district libraries were integrated as our pilot, so state officials could see it. And then the state provided the first annual state funding for school libraries ever to integrate school libraries as the last mile to reach Delaware school children. The value of libraries needs to be demonstrated at each level of funding to obtain funding. Now, beyond the perpetual and thankless efforts to convince educators who have their own problems, the principals to fund single libraries, the districts to fund libraries in a district, there is now state and federal funding for Delaware school libraries in the system of libraries. Our Senators Coons and Carper just provided a $1.9 million federal earmark as an incentive for school libraries to join and rejuvenate their collections. Showcasing student impact requires live data at scale, which the system makes possible, and supports the work to obtain and fund those precious certified school librarian positions, which we all want. So every library has worked with Delaware Libraries, with the Delaware Library Association, and friends to work on those positions. So as I say to our Delaware school librarians, this is your moment. This platform is for you to demonstrate your impact and ultimately fulfill the shared vision for Delaware school libraries. Thank you. On to New Jersey. Eva.
Thank you. Thank you. And in many ways, our chapters complement each other because we are still talking about community. We're still talking about inclusiveness of different library systems and and expanding our perspectives and views. And here in New Jersey, we are doing this through legislation and through collaborative efforts with not only libraries and library organizations, but going outside of it. I will share the slides for this presentation as soon as we finish. Here on this screen, you have a link to the vocabulary, the legal document that became our New Jersey Information Literacy Student Learning Standard requirement that Governor Murphy signed into law on January 4th, 2023. In the QR code that you have on the screen, you will be able, once you scan it, you will be able to see the evolution and the time that it took to make this idea into reality. So you will see that it took us several years, and it took several partners, and some of these partners are included on the screen right now. As you will see, many of the partners that we have here in New Jersey, and this is just a fraction, this is just a sample of some of the organizations that support us, support the library system in New Jersey. We are working in collaboration to strengthen our library ecosystem. So I am right now still a member of New Jersey Association of School Librarians. I am their past president, but I am also their liaison to New Jersey Library Association's Academic Librarians chapter. And I am also working with Department of Education on a couple of different projects. And also I am liaison to a project that we are working on under New Jersey State Library. You can see on the screen that some of our supporters are School Board Association or New Jersey Teachers Association, or some organizations are also national. You probably will recognize names such as Media Literacy Now or Every Library. When it comes to Every Library, we actually had a pleasure of working directly with quite a few members of that organization who provided training for us, for school library leaders, in how to communicate with legislators, how to talk to legislators, what kind of vocabulary to use, what kind of words never to use in having conversations with them, what is the process. And their training was very, very, very helpful. So as I mentioned, the state standard was signed into law on January 4th, 2024. So probably you are wondering, where are we now with the process of creating the first in the country, first in the nation, information literacy student learning standard. So as you can see highlighted in yellow, we officially finalized the draft of the standard, information literacy student learning standard. I believe it was on Thursday. And as of right now, it is going through the due process that Department of Education has to ensure that a proposal is going to make into the draft. The draft goes through all of the signatures and desks before it is introduced to the larger community. So as of right now, the document is locked at Department of Education. It's confidential. It's being evaluated. And the next steps that we have, that we are paying very, very, very close attention to, is we are preparing ourselves and our communities to have state hearings in state of New Jersey. Once something is proposed to become law, the residents of New Jersey have the right to speak for or against that law before it becomes part of our legal system. So in New Jersey, this specific legislation is being required to be heard 3 times in 3 different locations. And I know that for some of you, New Jersey is such a small state, but we still have quite a distance to drive. So we will have hearings in northern, central, and southern part of New Jersey. This is a big challenge because as you can probably imagine, what comes with information literacy is a lot of miscommunication, misinformation, distortion of information. And this is one of our biggest challenges. Our legislators, our decision makers, a lot of community members don't always understand what do we mean when we talk about information literacy. What do we mean when we say that our students need to be research ready, college ready, or career ready? So we have to educate our communities, and one of those tools that we have to educate communities is through our partnerships. We are developing all kinds of different professional development opportunities for various different stakeholders in New Jersey to educate them about and around information literacy. And all of this is done in partnership between multiple different organizations, such as the ones that were on the previous screen: New Jersey School Library Association, Teachers Education Association, Department of Education, and New Jersey State Library. And New Jersey State Library is also at this very moment working on a grant that was awarded to New Jersey State Library by IMLS. And that grant is asking us to create a model curriculum on information literacy. And again, all of these institutions are working very closely and collaborating. And as you can see on the screen, we are hoping that information literacy student learning standards will become part of official state standards sometime in next school year, 2025, 2026. And just to let you know, we in New Jersey here are not taking a break from our legislative actions. We have several other legislations that we are either actively working on, or we are in support of, and we are observing very closely what's happening in our capital town in Trenton. We also have a pending bill. We call this ratio bill. In this bill, we are hoping that eventually we will be able to have reasonable ratio between school librarians and students. So we would not have situations like we have right now, where we have a school districts when there's 10,000 students and 0 librarians, or 10,000 students and 1 librarian. It's just not absolutely possible for that person to prepare the students or support the faculty and staff for whatever is to come for those students after graduating. We are also very actively working on Freedom to Read bill. This is a bill that would ensure that there is a due process that is very transparent across the state of New Jersey when it comes to anything and everything related to censorship in New Jersey libraries, including school and public libraries. Yesterday, we had a hearing in a Senate Education Committee. As far as we know, bill passed the Education Committee, and now we will be very closely observing the next steps in order for this bill to become law. In the summer of 2024, summer and early fall, there were 2 additional very interesting legislative bills that were introduced, and both of them relate to information and literacy skills. As you can see, one of the bills is ensuring that we have universal screening in literacy among K through 3rd students, elementary school students, but also Department of Education is required to create an Office of Learning, Equity, and Academic Recovery. So these 2 bills already have been approved, and Department of Education is currently working on them. And those are the updates from New Jersey. And at this point, I think that we can take a look at the chat if there's any questions from the chat. Annie, I see that there is a question for you. There is a question about Delaware libraries. Does this mean that all Delaware schools have libraries and librarians?
Yeah, that's what I did answer in the chat, that we're increasing the power in order to get full funding for those. And then the question was, are school libraries, are they mandated? They're not in Delaware. Are they mandated in New Jersey? It doesn't sound like it.
That's a very good question, and half an hour or even all day is not enough to respond to the question. The situation is very tricky because we are under the same regulations as a New Jersey teacher support staff, and there is no official ratio. And the administrative code that is written by Department of Education allows for interpretations. So we have been fighting with Department of Education, fighting, not literally, but we have been going back and forth whenever there is a chance for us to submit documents that talk to very evasive language about how many librarians should be in a school districts or school building. We are trying to do it, but as of right now, some school districts interpret the current regulations that they need to have a librarian. Some of them interpret it as they can have a librarian in a district. So again, the sizes of the districts vary. In some cases, the administrators allow themselves to believe that they can even share a librarian between the districts, that they can basically have someone who is part-time with them and part-time with another district. So it is not consistent.
Yeah, and somebody in the chat, Nicole said, I believe one per district is mandated in New Jersey. Well, that's something, but it's still not good enough. Yeah, Delaware is not a school library friendly state. It has never been. And I think because I've been working on this issue, I'm ashamed to say, since the last century. Started working on it as a parent, and believe me, we have tried everything. Part of the issue is I'm under the Department of State, and the school librarians look to the Department of Education, but there's no one there. There's no one there for them. There weren't any laws or anything. So, and that's why I finally came to the conclusion we need to stop begging educators to support us, and we need to figure out how to become powerful ourselves as a profession. And so even though, and this is, I wouldn't say conflict, but it's kind of an area of disagreement where the school librarians are always, their number one is always the certified position. And we're all in agreement about what needs to happen. It's more about the sequence of it, because the certified school librarian positions that's such a big price tag that I just thought we've got to try starting at another place, starting with another, like you're doing with the information literacy, you got to start with a different initiative. And so we're trying to bring back some resources so that they can show their value. And and all, we've got money for the first time in over 30 years. I mean, or more. We got money, and so, and it's a challenge because frankly, it's a lot of money, and trying to, or it's like, what do? We got to get rid of the entire collection, and there's books coming in from Follett and all over the place. And it also shows, yeah, you need a professional to manage this. You can't just get by with, a temp or an aide or something. So I think we're showing this flurry of activity, and we're really, you're focusing on the information literacy, which we have that as well, but the focus is more on literacy because our literacy scores are so poor, and it's something that I think the schools and public libraries can work on together to get that power.
Yes, and this
Go
is
ahead.
something that we have to keep reminding on to our legislators, our decision makers, our school administrators. You're absolutely correct. Ever since pandemic, they are complaining that the literacy scores are falling, that our students are not doing well with state testing and their scores. But one of the easiest and simplest responses to that would be, well, how about bringing back school librarians, right? This is usually the first response. If you want students to grow their literacy skills, give them access to resources that they will truly enjoy. In my career as a school librarian, I have had a school districts where we still have collections that students have only access to non-fiction, typical academic library resources. But don't we need to provide for them access to non-academic resources? That's a good question. And also, if we are expanding the offer in K-12, in providing access to fictional and leisure reading materials, why aren't we in academia extending that level of collection for our students post high school graduation? So we can and we should work on their literacy, but probably we need to continue educating our decision makers what stands behind literacy. It's not only instruction, it's more than that.
Well,
And
and I've been scratching my head for, it's like, I can't figure it out. Like, why don't educators get it? That if you want kids to read, you have to have libraries. I think some of the answers came to me through the whole science of reading debacle, which is a huge debacle. And reading a couple of those books, which you're going to want to know the titles, and I don't have them handy, I don't think. But what one of the authors was saying that that educators think that comprehension is a skill, when actually comprehension is based on knowledge, a knowledge base. And so all those years I was saying, well, you gotta have, you gotta have up-to-date information because you're trying to build their knowledge base. Then to come find out, educators didn't care about a knowledge base because I thought that comprehension was a skill. So I really recommend reading up on the science of reading and some of the research behind it, because it kind of answers some of the questions I've been scratching my head over all these years. It's like, what is wrong? And so then the educators, they provide like little snippets or paragraphs or, little excerpts of reading, and they think that that's enough. And of course it doesn't build the joy of reading either, which is what librarians are good at. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm missing these questions.
So I wanted to respond to the question about the partnership between academic and school and public librarians. So I'm going to send you in a moment in a chat a link to something that we have been doing for the past few years in New Jersey. So we have been partnering through organizational, interactive partnerships. We have liaison to each other's organizations. We provide professional development to each other organizations. And right now we are trying to build this system where instead of doing the same or similar professional development workshops and replicating the effort, we're going to try to do it together. So there is something that we started last year, and it's called Teaching Thursdays. And we had quite a few sessions about how we can partner up school, academic, public. And in some school districts, and I see that in responses, some of you already are talking about it. In some school districts, we have scheduled visitations of academic librarian going to the school library, doing instruction on research. Or what I used to do when I was school librarian, I would put my students on a bus and take them to college and spend a day in an academic library environment conducting a research project with them. And our moderator says that we also have a question.
Yeah, so I'll jump into that one about works in a state and district and also not school librarian friendly. What advice do you have where to start? Well, one way, as I say, I'm focused on the literacy, and one way I'm approaching that is to get them to quantify it. So for instance, my goal for the school libraries is I want every Delaware student to check out 2 books every week during the school year. Now, there's does that happen overnight? No, but you have to have enough books so that they're getting in the reading and library habit. And so our pilot district, Colonial, which was the first to come in, the administrator there, who knew nothing about libraries before we did that, he has been fantastic, and he's like, soaking up all the information that we can give to him, trying to stay ahead of him. But he calls himself a data guy, so he is setting up, and every month he sends out to all his principals how many students, like unique students, checked out books at a school and the number of books, and it's like a friendly competition. So he is showing the principals, here's how your school compares to every other school. Every month he's sending that out. And when he shows the data, so he hasn't reached goals yet, the 2 books per student every week. But every number has improved because it's a friendly competition and they're trying to get those numbers up. And so even for the preschoolers, people say, oh, read 20 minutes a day. Well, to me, that's what I prefer to say is read to your child 4 picture books a day. 4 picture books a day is about 20 minutes, right? And but if you multiply that out, because there's this thing called 1,000 books before kindergarten, which sounds like a nice round number, but if you do the math, 4 books a day times 365 days times 5 years, up to kindergarten, that's 7,300 books, 7,300. Now that's a stretch target. You're not really going to achieve that, but it's like we need to increase the numbers and show our value that way, because no one can afford 7,300 books. It shows the value of sharing through libraries. When we share through libraries, everyone has access to more. And so just trying to have some goals and some friendly competition among parents, among principals and teachers to get those numbers up. And we only have 2 minutes left. Is there anything final we need to do? I want to thank Eva for doing this with me, and we need to meet some more and compare notes between our neighbor states. Also, thank you to Sandy, if she's still with us, for these opportunities. And any final questions?
And thank you all attendees for choosing our session today.
Instead of 2 books a week, how about unlimited books a week?
Yeah, or more. That's a minimum. Good point.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, Joyce was even here too. We had included her in the meeting. Joyce, you could have chimed in. Thank you.
Well, that was fun.
All right, I'm going to stop the
Yeah, that was
recording.
great.